Welcome to episode 121 of the Fully In It podcast. Today, I have the best possible treat for you all. I have Nicole Shetland joining me on the podcast. And I was really excited to bring Nicole on, mainly because she is an expert when it comes to training, fitness training in pregnancy and postpartum, but also because she understands what it is like to be in the season of life where you are having babies, you are raising little ones, and growing your business. Nicole and I have been coaching together since spring 2022. And when we first started working together, she was newly pregnant. So the really awesome thing about that was that I got to witness the way that Nicole led herself and made business decisions during the pregnancy period, and then also how she supported herself postpartum, how she navigated easing back into her business after taking a maternity leave. And in this episode, we're going to dig into some of the strategies that she used, the ways that she encouraged herself so that she could hold everything on her plate, and also the vision she has for her family that has been so beautifully calling her forward through all of this. I know that you are going to love hearing from Nicole. You're going to get so much value from this episode. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Welcome to Fully In It, a show for moms who are called to grow themselves while growing their families. Join me, Kate Saffel, a life and a business coach for moms, a homeschooling mama of 3, and a woman on a quest to show that our lives become even more meaningful when we remember why we are here and what truly matters most. This show is about going fully in it for you and the people you love by showing up powerfully in motherhood, entrepreneurship, in your home life, and for your family vision. Join me for weekly episodes that will inspire you to live intentionally and by your values, to slow down and truly be present to your family life, to make decisions that grow a profitable business without sacrificing anything in the process, and to become the kind of mom and woman you know you're meant to be in this lifetime. So today on the Fully In It podcast, I have Nicole joining us. And Nicole is someone who I really admire, the way that she shows up in her business and for her people, and especially for her family. And I cannot wait for you all to get to know her as well as I do. So Nicole, will you go ahead and just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about who you are, what you do, family, those kind of things?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Kate. I'm excited to be here and talk about all of this. So I am Nicole, of course, and I am a pre and postnatal fitness coach. So that is my business. I am also a mom of 2 boys and two little boys, 3 and 8 months. And it's been a journey building the business while also being in that initial stage of motherhood and all the highs and lows that come with sleep and stress and transitions. So I'm excited to talk to your people about how it's been to navigate through that.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I feel like you have such a unique experience when it comes to being in that early season of motherhood and also growing a business. I mean, both of those on their own are not easy. And somehow you've kind of mastered doing both. So yes, I'm super excited to dig into that. I would love to hear though, what was the beginnings of your business? What was the catalyst for you to even launch your current business? And what season of life were you in? Had you started your family yet? Where were you at with that?
I've kind of had a longer history with business than you even might have known. So this might be interesting to you too. Yes. But I think I've always wanted to have a little bit of a bigger impact by way of like business. When I graduated from college, like blogs were kind of the thing. And so I started a health and fitness blog. It was just general fitness at the time, since that was more of my background and experience. And so I started there, and eventually, like, that evolved into taking on clients online. And then when I got pregnant, I started specializing in pre and postnatal, because I had realized through my experience how underserved moms and pregnant women were when it came to their bodies and their health. And, I, experienced going to the doctor and getting, vague advice
Yeah.
or conflicting advice online, and just like really wanting to have this healthy pregnancy and support my body through all of these changes in this like period of very big uncertainty in my life. But I just really didn't feel like I had the support to do that, or the answers, or the safety, the confidence.
Yeah.
And so that's why I took my education to the next level and started taking on clients and helping others as well.
Wow. Wow. Oh my gosh. No, I did not know all of this. I didn't realize you had a blog. That's so cool. Like that, I feel like that was such a season for a lot of us. Like I did the blogging route too for a bit. They hold a special place in my heart. I really wish, I know there's still bloggers, but I wish that was like a big, really big thing still.
Yeah.
And I also, something that you said that really stood out to me is that a lot of us that have businesses, we start them because we see a need in the market that is unaddressed. And
Yes.
you really saw that clearly, and you stepped forward to address that. I wonder, was there anything that came up when you thought about that, right? Because I'm guessing you were either pregnant or he was a newborn at the time. Did you have any like doubts or concerns about jumping into that?
So when I was about 20 weeks pregnant with my first son, who's
Yeah.
now 3, that's when I started going towards my pre and postnatal certification to add that
Yeah.
education to my belt, so to speak. And I didn't start taking on clients for probably another 6 to 8 months after I had completed that. And at that point, he was like 3 months old. So I was also
Okay.
in the transition of going back to a full-time job, like getting through maternity leave and going back to a full-time job. Believe me, it was a very slow start. It wasn't like going all in on this business. It was just a very gradual pickup.
What like did you, if you can I know you were probably super sleep deprived, right? Like if your memory is probably like hazy like mine is, when I try to think back to when my kiddos were babies, it's like there was like big parts of my memory missing. However, do you remember like at that time when you were trying to start a business and go back to work full time and you had a newborn, were there like any doubts or worries that came up, and like how did you navigate to get to this point now where you do have a successful business and you are managing it all with more ease?
Yeah, for sure. I think any transition is hard, whether it's with babies or going back to work or moving. And, that was just like a huge whirlwind of transitions, as it is for most in the baby stage or even beyond that. Um, but yeah, there were definitely doubts. There was definitely fatigue, like a
Yeah.
lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
exhaustion. There was, just a lot of, I don't know if the right word is pressure, but there was just a lot of things to do all the time. And also, as a first time mom, just like learning how to start your baby on solids and like pumping at work and just, all of those things. But like, how do I keep this business going when I have all of these things to learn and take care of? And this little baby, yeah, there were so many concerns, so many doubts. And how did I navigate through that? I think I took it gradually, as I, had stated a little bit ago, but it was a very slow build. I didn't have the expectation of like, you know, having this $100,000 business like right off the bat
Yeah.
or anything.
Right.
Like I knew that it was going to be a slow build, and I kind of just let that vision and my like deep care about serving the people that I wanted to serve,
Mm.
I let that kind of root me in
Yes.
keeping moving forward. And I can't say there weren't times in my business, in especially the early, like the first year, that I took breaks here and there. Like I had to, maybe it
Yeah,
was
of course.
a week off of social media here or there, just to sort of get my bearings. And I think
Yeah.
that's also normal and okay to do. Like you have to sometimes reset and then keep moving forward. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. So what I hear is you really listen to yourself on how to navigate that period of your life. And you also kept the service aspect of like that vision you had for serving the moms in your community. You kept that in the forefront so that even when it was hard and challenging, it sounds like that motivated you forward. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
it did.
yeah, it's like that. I think that's the case for a lot of us. I know that is for me as well, of like, sometimes I have these days where I'm like, I don't know, do I want to keep doing this or I want to keep going? And then I think of my people and I'm like, okay, yeah, yes, this is why I'm in it. And it's that good reminder for why we are here. So, Nicole, you had your second son last fall, 2022.
Yes.
How did those two like pregnancies and postpartum periods compare? Because like your first one, you were just getting educated in that, pre and postnatal certifications and navigating your business at the early stage. And then here you were like 2 years later, right? 3
Yes. Yes. Well, two and a
ish,
half years
two
later
and a half.
ish when the second one came about. But gosh, I would say it was a little easier the second time around. I think if anyone listening is a second time mom and you know this, it's a little easier the second time around in terms of like, what to expect. You have all the baby stuff. So there's not as much like prep in terms of like,
Yeah.
buying the baby gear and like taking the classes and all that stuff. So I would say like I didn't have that load the second time around, which was nice.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and also I did know what to expect from the postpartum period, which was nice. However, we also did have a toddler running around too, so there were different challenges than there were
Yeah.
before. And I would just say like with so many demands on me as like the nursing parent, like I'm pretty much with the baby all the time.
Yeah.
And so that could be pretty hard on the business too. And I would say it still kind of is now at 8 months because he doesn't sleep through the night. Like we are still like nursing. I am still kind of the default parent
Yeah.
for the baby. And it's fine. It's just something that I've really had to acknowledge and come to terms with and like get really strategic with my time and get creative with my time in these different seasons and know that they're going to ebb and flow in terms of what I'm capable of.
Yeah, that's huge, right? So it's like being aware of what your expectations are for yourself, like what you're putting on your plate. And then, like you said, being very strategic in your time management. And I think that what I know about you is that you're pretty stellar at managing your time and how you kind of move in and out of your business and into family life. I mean, this is like my observation of you. So with this second pregnancy and then into the postpartum period when it comes to managing your time?
Yeah, when it comes to managing my time, I do love structure. I love organization. So this may not resonate with everybody,
Yeah.
but for me personally, like I really like to like know what's on my plate, like have a running to-do list for each day. And I like to use Asana for that. I know that that is
Ooh,
kind of a tool that a lot of VAs use, but it's
yeah.
free. But I just put like running tasks that I do each day of the week, check them off as I go. So maybe it's like Instagram post, maybe it's record a podcast, maybe it's, write an email, whatever the task might be. And then I keep that managed in there. And then I also do some time blocking, which you've helped me with a ton too, is just like
Yes.
laying out what time I have available in the week. And again, this is loose because sometimes it just doesn't work out. So I have like different work times that I'm a little more flexible with. But for the most part, just time blocking in my Google
Yeah.
Calendar and making it pretty and color coded helps to
Yes.
know like,
Always.
yes, like where I'm spending my time and really getting realistic on what that looks like and how long the tasks take. So those are
Mm.
kind of my two big like organization strategies as far as time management goes.
Yeah, I love those so much. And I think that that was probably one of my favorite classes we did in Expand because Nicole's in Expand and we did a whole workshop on time blocking because, I nerd out on this. And I think the key with it, like you said, Nicole, is you have these time blocks, you assign responsibilities or roles to those time blocks, but you don't hold them so hard and fast that it makes you feel like a failure. Because inevitably, as moms, our days are constantly shifting, and being able to kind of roll with whatever comes your way is a really important skill to have. But having that framework is so grounding, isn't it? Right? Like that
Mm-hmm.
foundation. Now, you were a level up on me with the Asana thing. Oh my gosh, I think that that is so cool. Okay, so when I heard that, I thought of some of our mamas, right? Because we both serve moms who may say, like, yeah, I can make a list. I don't stick to it.
Mm.
Right. So, what would you say to encourage women who are trying to build that habit of like, I do want to get more organized, but how do I actually stick to this long term? It's kind of like exercise too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think when it comes to like sticking to your to-do list, I think it's important first to like know, like understand the tasks on your list and their purpose. Like, why are you doing them? Because I think that can be a powerful motivator to actually do them.
Yeah.
And also, if something's on your list, like, I don't know, there've been things honestly on my to-do list that don't have a really big impact in my goals right now or my day to day, but I'd really like to do, but I keep pushing them off because I know that they're not super valuable right now.
Right.
So I think it's important to like know the distinction between what's going to move the needle for you now and what's going to be the most impactful, and use that as your motivation, because it's going to have a direct impact versus like, messing around with your website
Yeah.
or, doing things that may not be super needed or super priority right now. So I think
Mm,
that would be the first step. And then also just knowing like, how are you best kept accountable? Like, is it for you? Like, does the Asana route resonate with you? Or maybe your pencil and paper and you like to like write down your top 3 things for the day and just keep it at like, if I can get these 3 things done, awesome. I know I have
yeah.
all these extra things, and if I can get to them, great. But just like really starting small, and that can really help to create momentum, you know, starting to check things off, at least for me, feels really good. And it helps me like keep going long term too.
Yes, because you get that satisfaction of like, ooh, I got another thing done. And that
Yeah.
can feel really, really good. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes too, like, I love what you said about like knowing how you're motivated because we're all motivated differently. And some people need that accountability. They need someone outside of them checking in. Some people do really well with rewards. Like, if
Mm.
I meet all of my tasks this week, I'm going to treat myself to this thing I've been wanting, right? That like
Yeah.
delayed gratification. So,
Yeah.
right. So it's really just figuring out for you what works. But I love that you have figured this out because it's helped you to be so productive, efficient, to move the needle forward in your home life and in your business. So, switching gears, Nicole, this is something that I know I'm always so curious about. And I think a lot of women listening to this will be as well. Is what does a typical day look like for you managing home life and running a business?
Yeah. So for me, I I am very thankful to have support with childcare. So I do have that support on my side right now, and which gives me a little more time to focus on the business and as well as another part-time role that I'm in. But in terms of a typical day-to-day of home and family life, if we're starting from the top, waking up in the morning and getting the kids ready. My husband takes them to daycare on his way to work, and then I pretty much get right to work. So luckily I'm, at home for business and the other role that I'm in. And I, there's been many iterations of my day to day, just depending on energy levels and season of postpartum and what's feeling good. But on a typical day, I either work out first thing in the morning to get my energy flowing. If I feel like I'm a little tired and sluggish and I'd rather have like coffee and breakfast first, I do that and then get into like content creation first. So no matter what, I try to do some sort of content creation in the morning because that's when my creative juices are
Mm.
flowing. So that'll be the time of day that I'm doing Instagram post for the day, or an email or a podcast recording, anything that I am creative with needs to happen in the morning for the most part. That's just when I'm at my best. So that'll happen. And then for the rest of the day, after those sort of creative things are out of the way, it's just anything admin related or client work or client calls. So I wouldn't say there's really a typical day to day in terms of the business, but in the afternoon, for me personally, it works best to just like keep my head down on other things that don't require as much creative capacity.
Yeah.
And then around 4:30 p.m., everybody gets home, the kids come home, husband comes
Oh,
home, and then I try to like just disconnect from my business for the day after that. Like once my laptop is closed, I try not to like open my Instagram app or anything during family time. I really like have worked to establish a boundary there because
yes.
it just helps so much to be present with my family. And I also noticed like with our toddler, like when we are more present as parents and like not on our phones, like his mood is better, like his cup is being filled so
Wow.
much more. And that's just been a profound change too. So I've just been trying to be more present when it's that like dinner time, family time, bedtime routine in that block is really dedicated to them. And then at night, after that, 2 nights a week, I try to work on my business a little bit more.
Yeah.
It doesn't always happen. Again, we have a baby that wakes up a lot. So that time is not always mine, but that's the goal. So that's a typical day for me.
Oh my goodness. It's a pretty awesome day that you have. Like you've got a good balance of like business, work, family, time for you.
Mm-hmm.
So something that really stood out to me that I want to like highlight for everyone is okay, so everyone needs to know Nicole has like the best Instagram. Like your Instagram is so value packed. Whenever I go to it, I'm so impressed.
Oh, thank you.
Because yes, because like you give so much away for free. Like I look at your stuff and I'm like, someone could like completely change their health and feel so supported just by following you on Instagram. And that's not even working with you. It's like, imagine what it would be like to actually be one of your clients because of how much you give. But what I caught in what you were saying is that you get your creative juices flowing in the morning with a workout and you
Mm-hmm.
stack your content creation in the morning. I would love to talk just a little bit more about that, like how you
Yeah.
recognize that in yourself, like what your workouts look like, and
Mm-hmm.
anywhere you want to jump off with that.
Yeah, for sure. I think it depends for me right now on like how the baby's sleeping, because if he's having a ton of wake ups and I'm just really dragging in the morning, over time I have built some sort of like intuition and like understanding of like what my body can do. And sometimes my schedule and meetings and such will dictate the order of operations for the
Yeah,
day and I
for
don't have a
sure.
choice. But if I do have a choice, it's And if I'm really dragging in the morning and I'm like hungry and like tired, and I'm like, okay, I think breakfast comes first today, breakfast and coffee. Like, let's just settle into the day, ease into the day,
Yeah.
start with some self-coaching, journaling, which, learned some lovely things from you on that front. And that's been a really supportive
Yes.
habit.
Awesome.
Um, so yeah, I just have to listen into those needs. And other times, like I'm not as tired, or maybe I'm like getting into the day a little bit, or like going through the morning routine with the kids. And I'm like, okay, getting a workout in would feel really good today because I've got this packed day of stuff. And I know that it's going to fall off the list if I do it later. But, anyways,
Mm,
those two things really support one another, because if I do the movement part first, like a lot of my content ideas come to me through my workout, honestly.
yes.
Um,
Yes.
it's just a way to get out of your brain into your body and like relieve some stress. And that's just honestly a lot of times enough to get creative for me. Um, so I think that that's the connection for me. I really like doing it first. That way content comes easier, but sometimes it goes the other way too. And I do content first, and
Yeah.
that's fine too.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really listening to your body and using movement as a tool to harness your creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I find that too. I always notice when I'm kind of having a hard time coming up with content. And then I can do an internal check-in and I'm like, well, when did I last go outside? When did I
Mm-hmm.
last move my energy, move my body? And usually there's been a delay. And so getting that flowing again tends to help move things for whatever reason. I think that we are meant to be active, and that activity does fuel the creativity. So I'm so glad you highlighted that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, okay. So you are obviously an expert on, pregnancy, that prenatal period, and the postpartum period. And you have this just like body of knowledge that is so beneficial for someone who maybe is in that season of like the childbearing years. What do you see happening in the industry that you wish more people understood when it comes to health, wellness, fitness as a mom? Like, what are those things you're like, oh, I just wish people knew this?
Yeah. I love this question because the one thing that stands out to me, and I think can go multiple different ways, but I wish more moms and expecting moms saw their health and wellness and movement as a supportive tool versus something that is meant to like change their body or maintain their body, or diet culture gives us all these influences of needing to lose weight faster, or maintain our weight in pregnancy and gain as little as possible, and just all these different influences. But for me, and the way I serve my people and community, is really from a place of how can your habits and how can your movement support all these changes that your body is going through, from the added weight gain and stress on your joints, to the hormonal changes and the impacts on your pelvic floor, all of these different things, like taking into account the demands on your body and using your habits and movement as a way to stay
Yeah.
functional, as a way to, continue living your life and doing the things you love with your family, and supporting yourself through that, versus seeing exercise and seeing health and nutrition, all of it, as, a way to maintain your weight or lose weight, or all the diet culture things.
Right. Like these like external things that we can get really hung up on as women, or we think we should be hung up on, versus like, you know what? Like, I'm only going to go through this phase of my life for this like small window. And do I want to do it feeling healthy and strong and having some bit of energy to
Mm-hmm.
hold my kids, play with my kids, carry my kids, right? Like all of the
Mm-hmm.
things, nurse them, all the demands it puts on our body. Do I want to actually like be present for and enjoy it because my body's got my back? Does that phrase work here? my
Sure.
body's got my back, versus like, I feel so crummy and my body aches. Like there's like that other version of pregnancy and postpartum of like, oh yeah, it just like wrecks your body and you feel bad and you're right. It's like, which version do we want to have?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if you would use this phrase or not. So go ahead and you can tell me your honest opinion. But like, when I think of my child birthing, I've had 3 babies. It was like an athletic event. Like I couldn't believe what I put my body through to bring these babies into the world. Right? What are your thoughts on that
Yeah, it's a
phrasing?
lot. Yeah, it's a lot. And I do like to refer to it as an athletic event.
Okay,
And
cool.
yeah, I had an extensive athletic background in my life. And so I think that influences a lot of this too, because it's like when you train for a sport, you train for the specific movements and demands that you're going to be doing in that sport, whether it's jumping, ducking, sprinting, whatever the movement might be, you're
Yeah.
training for that. And the same thing goes for childbirth and pregnancy and postpartum, like thinking about the movements that your body is going to be doing on a daily basis, thinking about what you're putting your body through and how can we train for that? How can we
Yeah.
support that with the way that we approach our health?
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what that makes me think of too is like, I get that like we as women, we are designed to give birth, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
women have been
Yeah.
doing it forever.
Yes.
However, we're more sedentary than
Mm-hmm.
ever, right? We're like sitting around, we're on our phones, we're like hunched over our laptops, right? So it's like, what do you see when it comes to that? Do you feel like women today need more support in that regard?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I think that times have definitely changed, from the hunter and gatherer type of
Yeah.
mom who is out and being functional and moving her body as a means of like survival and day to day versus now you're right. We are more sedentary. And we do need some of that sedentariness and rest in that early postpartum
Yeah.
period. So I don't want to say like get up and move as fast as
Yes,
possible,
right. Yes, don't hurt
but
yourself.
yes, I do think that it is valuable to think of it in that way.
Okay, so I'm going to switch gears a little bit more and I want to bring it back to you. You, as the woman behind your business, you're the one leading your family. I talk a lot, probably like maybe too much, but whatever. I talk a lot about family vision, right? Because I truly believe that there's no sense in doing our businesses as just like another thing on our plate. Like it really needs to feed family life and our family vision and be this incredible support to what we are creating long-term for our families. So when you think about your business and your family's goals and dreams, what are you dreaming about for your family into the future? And how do you see your business supporting that?
Yeah, I would love to just have more rest time in our family. I think that is just like we're constantly go, go, go. And I know it's going to get busier as the kids grow up and get into activities and whatnot. And so I just want to like, I guess, use my business to create more space for us. And
Yes.
specifically, that would look like retiring my husband. I know that's like a huge goal of mine that I want to
Yes.
work towards is bringing him home because, his job stresses him out. And I would like to see that like weight off his shoulders because I truly enjoy my business and love what I do. And I would love to support the family for the most part and like
Yeah.
also give him space to do more of what he loves to do and enjoy like some hobbies that he enjoys and maybe even turn what he loves to do into a business as well. So I think that's kind of like the first step and just creating more space for us to have experiences with the kids and take them
Yeah.
on vacations and travel a little bit more than we currently do and just say yes to more things that we want to say yes to without so much thought. So creating some level of financial freedom to where it's not such a big deal to like take this trip on a whim or
Yeah.
things like that. So creating time, space, more experiences, and, more financial freedom for sure.
Yes. Yes. A big hell yes to all of that. Right. Like, and I just love that vision you have for your family because one, it's so doable, but two, it is a way, like our businesses can become a tool to break free of the status quo of saying like, hey, you know what? I actually don't really love how busy our society makes family life. I actually really want to spend more time with my family. I want to have that freedom where we can make choices that feel really good for us and we can travel and we can be home together, just being family instead of being
Mhm.
pulled 4 or 5 different directions all the time,
Yes.
which is exhausting and it's depleting, but it's just kind of the modern way.
Yep.
Right? So yeah,
Yes.
so that is a pretty compelling vision you have.
Yes. I love it. It's definitely something that roots me and has kept me going through all of this time frame of pregnancy and postpartum. And I think that just having that vision for anybody listening, just like knowing that it's possible. Like I know that you've helped me so much, like build that belief and create habits of like visualization, if I can say that word
Yes,
correctly,
it's a tough one.
and visualization, gratitude, self-coaching to really
Mm.
just like make sure that vision is top of mind always. And that has just been such a huge driver through ups
Mm.
and downs in my business and ups and downs with pregnancy and postpartum symptoms and all that stuff.
Yes. Right, because it keeps us rooted in what matters most because you guys, like having a business it's a roller coaster. And then pairing that with motherhood, you have to have something that reminds you, why am I doing this? So you don't get lost in the weeds of just like the day-to-day demands. So I'm so happy to hear that that has been so supportive to you as it has been for me, and for the women who do these practices. So, okay. I know we're like running out of time. I'm like, I could just talk to you all day, because you just have such a wealth of wisdom and experiences. For anyone who is listening and they're like, I got to get to know this Nicole gal a little bit better. Where can they connect with you, find you, and work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. This has been an awesome conversation. So, I have a couple different ways that we can connect. You can certainly find all the things I'm about to say over on my website at strongmamawellnessco.com. I also have a podcast. It's called Strong Mama Podcast. And then on Instagram, I am at Strong Mama Wellness. So basically all the same stuff. And you can, of course, find links to everything else there. I've got some freebies available. I do a free piece of video content, like whether it's a workout or a workshop or mini training once a month for my email list. It's called Strong Mama Insiders. So if you are in the pregnancy or postpartum phase of life, you might find lots of value in that. And then as far as working with me, I do offer one-on-one coaching, and then I have a few done for you programs as well to support you in your
Yes.
prenatal and postnatal health and fitness.
Yes. And one more caveat, postnatal doesn't just mean like you only work with people up to like 6 months or a year afterward, right? Can you
Right.
clarify that real quick?
Yeah, that's a good point. Postnatal or postpartum is forever. Essentially,
Yeah.
once we have a baby, our body has changed forever, like our pelvic floor, our core, everything has essentially changed, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing. But yes, I've coached moms that are several months and years postpartum too. So there's not a cutoff there. The postpartum body is the postpartum body. So
Mm,
yeah.
amazing. I love that so much. Thank you so, so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Kate.
Are you ready to grow a profitable business in less time without sacrificing anything that matters most to you? Come into community with me, with Nicole, and other mom entrepreneurs who are growing their businesses while raising their families. This is happening inside of Expand Mentoring Membership for Moms in Business, my year-long experience that will support you both in business and motherhood. Doors are reopening on July 15th through the 23rd, and there are only 20 spots available. We want to welcome you in. Head to www.happierinmotherhood.com/expand-membership to learn all about it and apply for your spot.